How are you today? It's Mr. Daggett from my room. It is Friday, May 1st. Friday, May 1st. Now, Friday, May 1st. It's called May Day. Now, we could have a wonderful May Day. I'll tell you what's cool about May. Lots of things, but one of the things is that I was born in May. Now, not really that important, but it is a fun month. It's usually a month when the sun is out a lot. It's a little warmer. It means we're only 1.5 months away from the end of school, which is pretty cool. So May 1st. Now, I also know that some states around our country have already started or are starting to slowly open up to try to slowly get back to some sort of normal. And I know that our county, as far as I know, is in the slow beginnings of that too, which means that maybe things will get back to normal over the next few months, which would be really cool. So we can like see each other and, you know, give air high fives and elbows and cover our sneezes still and all that. But I think that'd be really great because I definitely miss you. And I know that all the other teachers miss you guys as well. Anyways, I hope you're having a great day and I hope you have a good rest of the day. But cheers for the genie. Let's go around the world together. Where should we go? I don't know. Let's go right here. Australia. One of the 7 continents. It's also a country all of itself. And I know it has a huge desert. And if you look at Australia, it looks like it's about the size of China. So it's a very large country / continent. Let's see. And we were landed right next to the place called Gladstone. And which is, let's see, if we go south, we go to Brisbane. We go even further south, we go to Sydney, which many of you have probably heard of Sydney. If you've ever seen the movie Finding Nemo, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney was the address of the dentist office that Dory and Marlin had to get to find Marlin's son, Nemo. So, Sydney, Australia. Take a look at Australia. They have some pretty cool animals there as well. They have kangaroos. They have all sorts of cool things. They also have some of the largest spiders in the world, just so you know, and some killer snakes and other things like that. But you should check out Australia. And now, again, it is Friday, May 1st. Great day. We're going to finish our Stravinsky book. I know I told you at the beginning of the week that we try to get to the other book, but you know what? We're out of time, and that's okay. Where am I? Oh, right here. So let's recap. Igor was raised by a musical family. He went to college but studied to be a lawyer. Hated it. Made friends with the son of a very famous composer. Learned how to compose music pretty quickly, and by the age of 26 had composed a work called Fireworks. And a guy who was starting a really famous ballet company said, "Come be my composer." He said, "Okay." That's where we are now. Igor was thrilled to be asked to join the Russian ballet company. By this time, he was married and the father of 2 children, and he really needed the job. After composing a couple of smaller pieces, Igor was asked to write music for a well-known fairy tale called The Firebird. My favorite. Igor loved the mystical story. He worked hard to make music that could fit the characters, the brave prince, the wicked wizard, and the magical Firebird. In his first important composition, Igor did everything he set out to do. His striking music, along with the beautiful costumes, set designs, and super creative dancing amazed everyone who saw the Firebird ballet. When the ballerina playing the Firebird first appeared, she did a series of gigantic leaps right across the stage. When you hear the music for that part, called Firebird's Dance, it's easy to imagine a magical firebird whirling and sparkling and blazing across the sky. Igor Stravinsky created many dazzling music sounds that had never been heard before. The Firebird was such a big hit that it turned Igor Stravinsky into a star composer overnight. Right away, he began working on his next ballet, Petrushka. It was about 3 puppets, a ballerina, a soldier, and Petrushka the clown, and an evil magician who was able to control the puppets so that they seemed to be alive. Many people feel that of all Stravinsky's ballets, this one does the best job of telling a story with musical sound. So here is the Firebird, and here is he standing with one of the puppet characters. Ooh, the Russian ballet dancer's name was Vaslav Nijinsky. Like the Firebird, Petrushka was a big hit, but Stravinsky's next ballet caused some problems. Igor began writing music for The Rite of Spring, a musical piece based on an idea he had. It's about a prehistoric tribal ceremony. Igor filled his music with energy and powerful rhythms. The music seemed violent in parts, and it was very loud. When people first saw the ballet, they were shocked. They just weren't used to the unexpected new sounds or the explosive dancing. The audience didn't know whether to laugh at the ballet or get angry. Remember that piece I told you about? A riot broke out, and Igor was very upset. The following week, he became ill with a fever and had to take a long rest. In time, The Rite of Spring became one of the most important musical pieces of the 20th century. Eventually, people found something in its wild, beating rhythms that touched them deeply. You should, by the way, look up these pieces of music. The Rite of Spring, it starts with this very high-pitched sound, and it's from a bassoon. Again, that's the one that people started laughing at and then grew into a riot. Soon after Igor Stravinsky finished The Rite of Spring, World War I started. It was a rough time for Igor. During the war, there was very little money to spend putting on ballets or concerts. Not only that, but both Igor and his wife had some serious medical problems. Igor decided to live in Switzerland, where his family could be close to the best medical centers. It's a good thing, because just a couple years later, Russia entered their time of revolution, and the Communist Party took over, and he got out, I think, just in time. The Stravinskys had 4 children now, just like me. They all had to stay in a crowded hotel room for a while, and Igor had a terrible time concentrating. He could compose music only if he were sure no one could hear him. Fortunately, a generous music dealer in town set Igor up with a piano. Unfortunately, the piano was not only out of tune, but it was kept in a combination lumber storage room and chicken coop. Igor was happy to be alone, though, and he started working on what would be some of his best-loved pieces, including The Soldier's Tale and The Wedding. Here he is in the chicken coop. There's sketches of the ballet. To make some extra money, Igor began conducting and playing the piano in public for the first time. He was so nervous he sometimes forgot parts of his own music. Once he froze up when he noticed the reflection of his fingers in the polished wood of the piano. Look at that. I didn't know that. Soon after World War I ended, Igor Stravinsky surprised everyone by changing his style completely. Instead of writing modern-sounding music based on Russian stories and folk tunes, Igor began composing pieces that were more like the classical music written centuries earlier by Mozart, Haydn, and Bach. Igor's Pulcinella Symphony in 3 movements and Symphony in C were inspired by composers from the past, but Igor added his very own touches to create a very beautiful and new classical style of music. Ooh. Igor Stravinsky thought it was very important to keep trying new things. For a while, he experimented with jazz. He even did a ballet for the circus. The dancers in Circus Polka, however, weren't ballerinas. They were elephants. Igor's music was also used in Walt Disney's animated movie Fantasia. Walt Disney thought the savage rhythms of The Rite of Spring would be perfect for the part about the beginning of the world. What is that? The dinosaurs there. 1940 was when that was released. Igor Stravinsky became friends with many famous artists throughout his life, including Henri Matisse and Pablo Picasso. These artists designed sets and costumes and posters for many of Stravinsky's ballets. Here's a sketch of Pablo Picasso with Stravinsky. It's a real. Igor Stravinsky lived to be 88 years old. He composed music until he was 85. Igor spent the last few years of his life listening to and enjoying the music of other great composers. With his startling new rhythmic sounds, Igor Stravinsky, maybe more than any other composer, led music into the 20th century and modern times. It's pretty easy to find Stravinsky's music on classical radio stations. You can also borrow CDs and check out MP3s at many libraries or online. This is him at 76 conducting the BBC Symphony Orchestra in London, one of the most famous orchestras in the world. So, Igor Stravinsky, check him out. I really, really like his music. Some of it is hard to get into, but a lot of it is very fun, very palatable, and high energy, and I think you'll like it. So, it is that wonderful time where we get to say, the weekend. And I hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the weather. If you haven't planted a garden, even if you only have this much space or you have to go buy some dirt, go do it. You can go buy some herbs like basil or cilantro or something and grow those in small pots. Or you can grab some flowers, or you know what? If you have a potato and leave the potato until it starts growing those little sprouts, then cut the potato up to where you have a couple of pieces where the sprouts are and bury those about this much under the ground and water them for about 2-3 weeks. Guess what? You'll create new potato plants, and that one sprout will turn into multiple potatoes. Pretty cool. Anyways, from my house to yours, cheers from the genie. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.